Verena, I've joined ORF and I would like to ask you the role of fear, how to overcome fear, because I think inside us we know that once we start concentrating we will see many things that we don't know what we will see. How do we overcome fear to move forward?
Well, I think I'm still practicing, and I don't know if there's a quick answer, but I can share what I can share. First is that one need to develop this philosophical quality, which again I don't mean philosophy as a philosophy of Plato, or philosophy of the Chinese, or the philosophy of the Buddhism. The way I see it, or the way we talk about it in Acropolis, it is a state of mind. This love of wisdom. There is something deeper. There is something right. And also, it is like a yearning. A yearning is the right word? Yes. A yearning to something that we already familiar. The Greek would say this is we live in a state of hypnosis. Like, in a way, sleeping. Like this sleeping of the rabbit. And therefore, to awake. And therefore there is something that I'm already familiar and I want more of it and more. If this is there, then you have enough tool, or the right tool I would say, to confront fear. I remember when I was younger, much younger, and I didn't have a lot of money at all. And not that today I have so much, but nothing, yes. And I had this kind of credit card or debit card or ATM, sorry, yes. And always I used to take money from the ATM. And in the end there was a question, do you want to see the receipt and see the balance? I always say no. I better not see. So leaving the illusion allowing me to express my immediate need. Never mind what I owe to the bank, etc., etc. Where philosophical approaches deal with reality, with truth. If I see something that I don't like, I better see it than rather just to leave it. And I think that another thing about fear is that the problem is not with fear. The problem is that we fear. And then it's becoming a tool that paralyzes us. You might have a fear to talk to a crowd, but would you do that? Or would you let this fear to be paralyzed in such a way that you will not? Or you do it so badly because you're so feared, and then you say, you see, I was right. I shouldn't have spoken, etc., etc., etc. So the problem is not with the existence of fear. I do believe that you can overcome it in certain level, where there is nothing to give you fear. But okay. Thanks.
Could I say something?
Yes, of course.
I just wanted to add. At least I believe that whenever there is fear, I think the next step is to have trust. If you have trust, to a very great extent your fear disappears. It dissipates in the face of trust. I just want to give you a small example of it. I was reading the story about this atheist who decides he wants to climb a mountain. And he's climbing up the mountain when he slips and he's about to fall. And he slips out of the mountain, he falls down. And as he's falling down, he sees below there is a valley. And above there's the sky and there's nothing else in between. And fortunately for him, he finds a branch as he's falling down. He clutches hold of the branch and he's petrified. And at that moment, as he hangs between life and death, he says, God, if you are there, please help me. And then there's a boy, and he says, I will believe in you and I will spread your word if you help me live. And a voice booms and it says, that's what they always say. And he says, no, I mean it. I am going to do what I say. And ask me to do anything. And I will do it. And the voice says, let go of the branch. And he says, let go of the branch? Do you think I am crazy? That's fear, and that's trust. You see the child, when it cries, it knows the mother will answer. It will answer. There's no fear. When it's being held on the hip, the mother might do 10 things. The child never fears it will fall. It will wriggle, it will turn around, it will do everything, but it knows its mother holds it on the hip. And that's what Krishna says to Arjun. He tells him, Partha, I hold you in the palm of my hand. If you can feel that, you have no fear. That's where I
Yeah. I would like to ask a question from my personal experience. Like many of us, we are reading religious scriptures and texts for years together. Every morning it's like a part of your daily ritual. And what I noticed is the same text that I am reading for the last 15 years. Earlier it's based on some stories about the mythological stories. And so earlier I was able to concentrate. I used to recite those stories while reading it. Nowadays, since last few months or years, while reading it, I get thoughts in my mind about my commitment towards society or whatever. I mean, I'm not talking about the desires about who fought with me or what happened, but the thoughts, my thinking about society, about my goals of life. And when I'm reading that text, I really don't understand a single word of it. I mean, I just keep on reading it because I have remembered the words. But at that time, I get best of my ideas that come any part of my life daily. And then I wonder whether it is distraction or whether it is a concentration. The concentration the other way around, because you get to know what you are seeking and not what you are reading, because that you try it as some kind of discipline, but when you are reading that the goals of your life suddenly start and unfortunately I'm afraid that starts happening while driving also, but anyway, what you would call it, distraction or concentration?
If it does you good, then by all means. No, I don't know. Both. Both. I personally believe that the text in a book have a purpose for sure. That there is a reason why it's there. But it is never the most important thing. And to gain the important thing, you require consciousness. You can read the Gita and explain it in such a wrong way that I'm sure no Krishna, no Arjun ever met it like that. You can read it maybe without being a Hindu or without being a believer in that, and because your consciousness level may be closer to what they talk about, maybe you will understand it differently. The consciousness is always the key, always. You can see it all the time. I mean, we have so many texts, religious texts and other texts and philosophical texts, but people can understand it in one way and totally the other way. The answer is not in the text. The text is just an invitation. It's always our consciousness. I don't know if it's answering your question, but...
No, it is not exactly as a religious text, but the text that talks about the tradition between Guru and Shishya and how those values, actually they are good values. There is nothing specific about religion. But when you start reading it, you get keep close toward the good values. But then instead of progressing on that same path, now I find that while doing it, the same thing that I am doing, and earlier I used to find better concentration about reciting that story in front of my mind. The chapters are full of stories. So instead of that stories coming in front of my conscious, there are some other things, some things that are going in the country, some things that are related to my goals. They come on and I get some good ideas and suddenly, oh, this is what I'm looking for. But then I feel that I'm not understanding anything that is in the text. So.
Probably that's what T.S. Eliot meant when he said, from indirections you find directions out. You never know.
I would call it a good problem. Maybe last question?